Did you feel like there was any difference or evolution in your character between the Million Dollar Man and now NWO Ted DiBiase, or did there not really need to be?
Um, I never really, I never really thought about that. Um, I mean, I knew, you know, again, it was, even though I was there, and of course, obviously, I still want to be a part of the business, have exposure and what have you. The thing that was more on my mind than wrestling, even at that time, was this new relationship with God and me going out and being a speaker and, if you will, a minister and ministering to people. This was all happening during that time. Uh, and that was, like I said, that's why I told them. I said, you guys probably need to turn me babyface because people are going to be seeing a lot more of me on Christian television, and the two don't mix. So I had a guaranteed contract. I showed up and I did what I was asked, and because I wasn't a wrestling talent anymore, I didn't really worry about it.
Now, that kind of brings up an interesting point in my mind, Ted. You had just come from the WWF earlier that year, and Jake Roberts had debuted in the WWF with a very, very different character from what he had been previously. Now, all of a sudden, he is a born again Christian character, and he's preaching the word of the Lord on WWF television. And it makes me wonder. I mean, at any point, even in the next year, whenever you have this conversation with Eric, like, hey, maybe you ought to turn me babyface. Did you ever consider bringing your faith onto wrestling TV or pitching the idea?
Um, uh, no, you mean with Eric?
Yeah.
No.
Do you think that Eric would have been receptive to it if you had come to him and said, like, hey, I'd like to bring, more of a faith-based character onto TV as a babyface manager?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Why not? Do you think it's just because he was going edgy?
I don't know, and personally at the time I didn't care.
Ah,
I mean, it was kind of like I was at a point, and it's hard for me to explain this, Marcus. Um, my it was almost like, okay, I've got this contract, I'm committed to it. I've got a guaranteed contract. I'm gonna do my best to do what they want me to do until
okay.
this contract's over. But at no time did I even consider the possibility of renewing that contract
I'm
because
I'm with it
my
now.
my direction, you know, it was like I was there physically, but I wasn't there mentally.
Okay, now
That
we're
makes
now
sense.
we're kind of yeah, now we're kind
Yeah,
of starting to dig into it where it's like,
yeah,
yep, you're involved in this hot angle and you're on TV, you're getting tons of exposure, but your heart is not there anymore because now your mind is in a different direction with your
yeah,
faith.
yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
And again, when I left there, when my contract was, well, I told Eric, I basically I said, look, I said, here's the deal, guys. I said, you got me over here, and I told Eric this. I said, you got me over here. I'm part of this deal. I said, I'm going out here week after week. I'm standing in a corner with my thumb up my ass. I got nothing to say. And I said, I didn't spend all this time developing a character and a personality, and a position in this business to come along and just be, just be just be Hulk Hogan's belt bearer.
Hmm.
Uh-uh. If you don't have any other ideas for me, just send me home.
And that's how it went.
And that's how it went. And I didn't care. I didn't care because they still had to pay me. And now I could refocus all my attention on the ministry.
All right. See, as I'm watching this, as a wrestling fan and a Ted DiBiase fan, I'm like, how cool is this? Like Ted DiBiase, he's in the NWO, he's involved in this red hot angle. I bet he was having a blast. But here in reality, you're like, nah, I think I'd rather be doing, something with
Yeah,
my faith outside of wrestling.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Hey, by the
And,
way, oh, go ahead.
and that's what I did. You know,
Yep. You were out of wrestling after your contract would expire here in WCW for a number of years before you go back to the WWF and that behind the scenes role we discussed.
yeah.